Do you understand what was just read to you?
No, I don't.
Hi everybody, this is Life in Vibe, otherwise known as Ray, and today I wanted to discuss what are the actual consequences that would happen to a registered nurse who is charged or is recently going to have a court date with a driving while under the influence or driving while intoxicated. What are going to be the steps that this registered nurse now needs to make once these types of offenses are made? And the reason why I want to talk about this is there's been a big in the news about a nurse in Texas who went viral for all the wrong reasons. Not only was she appearing to be under the influence of alcohol in the video and later was found, we'll see it in the news stories, but let's just get into the video. I am going to cover as a registered nurse. Yep, we always have to say it, which is funny because you'll hear it in the video. It is a joke. How do you know someone's a registered nurse? They'll let you know in the first minute. So there you go. That's like the first little bit over a minute, but I think my name's on my thing. Anyway, we're going to take a look at that, but we're also going to take a look at what all the repercussions she's going to have and what's really going to happen to her license. Is this nurse going to be touching hands on patients again if she chooses to do so? So let's find out. And I'm going to walk you kind of through this, but we're going to start first with the story that kind of broke, I believe, initially, probably from the police department, but the Daily Mail certainly was covering this quick.
Okay.
I dropped my friends off and I'm heading home. I'm a nurse. I do so much good for this world.
Okay. What's that?
This is a poppy.
What is that?
It's a cranberry fizz. It's
Okay.
no alcoholic drink. That sucks. I just literally chopped off my friends that were all drunk. I haven't drank in a long time because I've been breastfeeding. And so I quit breastfeeding about a month ago. It's very painful because, you know, I don't want to do too much too fast because I have a baby, small baby, and I'm a nurse.
Okay, I hear you. Yeah. Alrighty. So what I'm gonna have you do, ma'am, right now is put your hands behind your back, okay? We're going to do this hands.
Why are you taking me to jail?
1 second.
Shouldn't you tell me the reason you're taking
Give me
me
1
to
second.
jail?
Alrighty. Do you understand what was just read to you?
No, I don't. Greater Heights, don't go there.
Oh dear. See, that's pretty bad. Nurses do have an ethical responsibility to ensure that they are serving their communities, whether you are on or off the clock at whatever healthcare facility you are working at. We are definitely responsible for ensuring that our patients are well cared for. That's kind of problematic. Yeah. And we're going to take a look at the news story that went out on this nurse's local news station. And you know, obviously a lot of people, once the story came out, they were pretty upset. Nurses are held to a very high standard, and they're held to a high standard by the boards of nursing. And I think that's a piece that it's so important to remember. It's not just the employer. And so, like I said, we'll talk about what her consequences will be. But let's take a little look at this news broadcast.
And when you come through my hospital, don't worry, I'll let you die.
Well, new tonight, a local nurse caught on video telling officers she would let them die if they were ever her patients after she was arrested. Memorial Herman says she's now suspended. ABC 13's Luke Jones has the video only on 13.
Shocking words from a woman who makes life or death decisions every day. And it's not the only thing she said that's raising eyebrows.
Stop!
Now, obviously, lower your headset. She is screaming. I did, want to kind of, put into context that her employment at the hospital is not contingent on her actual nursing licensure. So there are going to be steps that she will need to take. And obviously, also, this is somebody who was an intensive care unit nurse. And I would suspect saying something about wanting harm to come to individuals is quite the antithesis of the intensive care unit nurse. That you are literally trying to save lives from the brink of some of the most catastrophic health conditions and health outcomes that patients are having. That's where those patients go, to the ICU. And so for this to be the sort of entitled attitude and the arrogance that is being displayed, this is really bad. I mean, it's beyond just whether you want this person employed in your hospital. It's whether or not, this is somebody that you want within your profession. But obviously, there needs to be a sense of understanding that they're still going to, no matter how heinous this person's actions are and how unhappy people are, there are going to be steps that she's going to go through. And potentially at the end, and we'll show you why, she could maintain her licensure and continue to work caring for patients and their families. So just want to let people know that's kind of potentially. But if the board of nursing does see this video, they may make a different decision. It would be interesting to find out. It's too soon to know.
I have a child!
A contentious ride to jail Saturday in Magnolia, and the woman in the back seat wants officers to know exactly what she does for a living.
Well, I'm a nurse, and when you come through my hospital, don't worry, I'll let you die.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh my God!
All your family members, and this is all on recording?
It sure is. Police identify the woman as 35-year-old Crystal Tadlock, a nurse at Memorial Herman's Heights location.
Greater Heights, don't go there.
Officers say they pulled Tadlock over for speeding just after midnight on FM 1488 near Heritage Lane. But they note it took her 40 seconds to stop and that she ran a red light and struck a curb.
Oh, none of that's good. And this is really sad to see too, because nurses and police have great relationships. We work very much together, especially police officers who find themselves bringing people to the emergency room. Potentially, they had to do a blood draw. I don't know if they do them in the hospitals. Sometimes they do need to do the blood draws in the hospitals and have medical professionals take those blood draws. I do not believe the police are licensed to take blood. I believe that does need to be done within a facility. And if it's late at night, like this young lady was at, it would be at a hospital, hopefully not the one she was employed at. Can you imagine? Anyway, and yeah, this is really not a good look. And it's the joke that she kept telling people what she did. I mean, police and nurses have great relationships. This is not going to help, I mean, there's so many different times that we have to have the police come into the hospitals and remove people because they are acting out. These are visitors I'm talking about.
They also note she had bloodshot, glassy eyes and slurred speech, and that she admitted to having 2 drinks at a concert. During a field sobriety test, they say she almost fell over backwards, which Tadlock blames on a recent eye injection.
I couldn't walk straight because I had a fucking eye injection yesterday? Because my perception is permanently off?
During the long ride to jail, Tadlock appears to take issue with one officer's heritage.
You can't speak straight because you have an accent from another country.
And when he tries to inform her of her rights.
All right, I'll be playing an audio. Make sure you listen to it.
I know. That's because ICE hasn't picked you up yet.
Tadlock told police she's worked in Memorial Herman's ICU for the last 7 years. In 2021, the Daisy...
Oh, that's quite an offensive thing to obviously say. And that's quite threatening in the current climate too. So she knew she was being egregious there. That's really unsavory behavior. This is somebody who obviously is not in control at this time. And her behavior, despite, I mean, You hear 2 drinks, you should times that by 2 to 3. She knows what she's, definitely has a sense of entitlement that is coming across, and her having potentially, this is just my opinion, patients that have been so, on the brink of life or death, because these ICU patients, they can get really sick, and they're monitoring these patients really close and pulling blood and just doing all these things in order to maintain these people um alive. And so, I mean, this is like why it's so shocking, especially with her working in an intensive care unit environment, that she would be saying these sort of things. And just the sort of threatening, nasty, but I think it almost, like I said, that potentially she's getting that savior complex in my mind, where she's been so awarded for being an extraordinary nurse, which is kind of like a popularity contest, and then having these ICU roles. Who knows, she may have had a dream to become a nurse anesthetist in the future, because they usually come from ICU backgrounds. um it's obviously, some of that has gone to her, head, I believe, and so she's really believing that she is so much higher above others. And I think that's not a good look, and I think it can start to become apparent when you have these like high risk units that require a certain, dedication from the nurses, and then they're getting awards, which I know this hospital has probably tried to remove this. And yeah.
Foundation honored her with an award for extraordinary nurses, but her bedside demeanor appeared to be absent Saturday.
You literally just said you don't want me there because you're gonna let me die.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not that great of a person. You think you can just treat me like this?
And then I want to circle back around the comment about where the police officer's potential heritage is, or where the person could be from. That's just really egregious to me, because we work with such a diverse patient populations, and we are trying to educate people around the necessity of having diverse nursing staffs in order to meet our diverse populations. How are we going to have people feel that they are going to be included in the profession, which is predominantly white female, when and then we have this? It just sort of puts additional barriers. There's so much of her behavior, especially I'm trying to be a nurse educator. I would not want any of my nursing staff, sober or otherwise, to be displaying these behaviors. And we all kind of know what sometimes these things can loosen lips.
Luck was charged with DWI and has since bonded out of jail. Magnolia police writing, "Unfortunately, we couldn't charge her with not being a very nice person."
You're gonna be so embarrassed. And I'm also white. Yeah.
Tonight, Memorial Hermann tells us it's now investigating this. Tadlock, it says, suspended until that investigation's complete. We did try emailing her. So far, we haven't heard back. Because she refused to complete a breathalyzer test, police say they ended up doing a blood draw. They're still awaiting the results of that. In Magnolia, Luke Jones, ABC 13, Eyewitness News.
All right. So let's see what she actually became charged with. So here she was actually charged with driving while intoxicated. It was actually just on the 11th of October 2025. She got a $600 bail. And there's the mugshot. And so what's going to happen next? What does Crystal need to do in order to maintain her licensure? Because I would think if she's worked 7 years as an ICU nurse, she has made a very good living, and I doubt that's something that she wants to lose. I know that it takes a lot of years to become a registered nurse, especially if she has a Bachelor of Science, a BSN. Who knows if she's in grad school? She talked about having a baby. She's got, obviously that could influence her decision that she wants to continue to keep her nursing license. So what is she going to have to do? in order to do that. So let's take a look at this real fast, because every state is a little bit different. And one thing that nurses are taught to do when they are beginning to start their training is to become very familiar with the regulations of the boards of nursing, whether it's to do with the regulations regarding patient care or the regulations about your personal ethical behaviors, because your personal behaviors do actually impact your career. They are not separate. Unfortunately, it is a reflection of who you are. And with this case being so viral and with so much video footage, I don't know, because it's not on the employers. They don't have to be the one reporting this to the Board of Nursing, because she did not commit the offense during the time she was actually like on the property and working in her role as an ICU nurse. So the hospital, I understand, has since fired her from her role at the hospital. There is no press releases about it. It's like they are distancing themselves from her. But they are not having to report her drunk driving incident to the Texas Board of Nursing, which is the state that currently has issued her license. And we'll talk about kind of those gray areas too. So she will get down. So this is an attorney's firm, and it is clearly stating what are the stipulations about what she needs to do now. And even if she were to decide she just does not want to be a nurse, this is still going to go in front of the board. This is something that is not going to not be addressed through, she can't just say, well, I don't want to be a nurse now, and drop off my professional license like that. You're going to have to report it to them. And if you haven't done that within 30 days, even when you decide because not to renew your license necessarily. I mean, maybe she just decides not to renew her license, but you need to report this to the Board of Nursing if you're currently holding a professional license. You don't have an if, ands, or buts about that. So she has 30 days in order to do so. And you need to do that promptly, whether you've been convicted or in this case, just facing charges, which currently on to trial, she is only facing the charges of DWI. Even though they have the blood work, obviously that's just going to be part of the case for the prosecution. She is not only going to need to have obviously the attorney to go to the DWI, and then I understand there are just all sorts of additional expenses that go along with your car insurance, and then you're going to have to take classes for showing that you are abstaining from alcohol and managing those types of substances and going through rehabilitation and so forth. And you are going to have to pay for this all out of pocket. None of this is going to be provided by the state or anybody else. So if she does not report this within 30 days, she could face very serious consequences. And in addition, even if you are not convicted, you may still need to report the charge if it's related to your ability to practice nursing safely. This is particularly true if the DUI incidents involves drug or alcohol abuse that could interfere with your professional performance. So especially if people have had multiple driving offenses while under any type of incident, then obviously that's going to show a pattern of behavior, and then the Board of Nursing is really going to have to consider whether this person is safe to be in patient direct care. So she's going to go in there, she's going to report it, and they're going to have to take you through the Board of Nursing incidences, and you potentially get some disciplinary actions, especially if there are aggravating factors. I mean, that could be potentially, say, things like she caused an accident. And even though she was pretty ugly within the car, and some of the things she said were egregious, I don't know whether or not, I'd be interested to know whether or not the Board of Nursing will actually see the video. The Montgomery Police Department certainly wanted to make them aware, because they've released all of this out. And they couldn't charge her for not being a good person, but they certainly didn't want her working with patients anymore. And they made sure this went really public in order for her to at least immediately lose her position. But that doesn't mean that she's not out trying to get another position at this time. But I would assume that she would have to declare to her employer that, because there's going to be a background check. And it may not, I don't know whether or not, the police seems to have been pretty prompt on this. So a background check may actually flag this. So it's got some consequences consequences here. So as they state here, that it needs to be reported promptly. She's going to have to get some legal assistance. She needs to show that she's getting some type of rehabilitation. And that's before she's even reported it to the Board of Nursing. So within that 30 days, like right this minute, the thing that she needs to be doing is seeking out a substance abuse program or attending an AA program immediately, or whichever for the state of Texas that they have when you have committed a driving offense. The first thing to do is to show that you are trying to take care of this problem of your abuse of a substance, whether that substance be controlled or otherwise. And alcohol would obviously, fall into that area. And then obviously you need to show that you are going to be professional. Despite the lack of her showing any type of professional behavior while she was in that call, everything that she does, like probably taking her internet down, like all her social media presence, and just staying mum. And then, but this is going to be extremely expensive. This is going to be extremely expensive. Not only is she going to have to get all the attorneys, like I said, in order to handle the drunk driving offense with the Texas police and the court system there, she's going to now have to deal with the Texas Board of Nursing and the costs of getting all these rehabilitations and everything that you are going to have to pay for out of pocket. And both of these are going to be, luckily, whatever substance or AA or whatever she's taking for the sort of police, for the court system, is going to be also applicable potentially for the Board of Nursing. So she can kind of get a 2-for-1 there, if you may. All right, let's take a look at see what happens here. So this is obviously the Texas Board of Nursing, and when she goes to renew for her license, they are going to ask questions about whether she has had any charge, whether she's had any charges pending, or whether she's got anything coming up. So it is going to be questions to answer. And so it states that the Board of Nursing looks at responses to questions relating to criminal conduct to determine eligibility for renewal. And with nurses, we renew our licenses every 2 years, and we have to finish a certain number of continuing education units, as well as obviously maintain all professional behavior. And we are asked by the board. Now, if she had probably not gone viral and this thing had been kept very quiet, it's potentially she could have reported it to the Board of Nursing and kept her job and gone through potentially, I don't know whether or not the healthcare system, sometimes the managers don't want to keep these nurses because they have to watch them. And if you're in an ICU and you're handling a lot of controlled narcotics and stuff, there's going to be managers who are not going to want these types of individuals working on their floors. So, but it's possible that all of this, unless somebody is really keyed into social media, may not be aware that this nurse is going through all this. And she may potentially be hired at a place that's just really wanting to get some skilled nurses in there and are happy to, complete any paperwork for nurses who have offenses on their license or incumbent licenses. So she is going to be asked if she has been arrested or having any pending criminal charges, convicted of a misdemeanor, because I understand her charge is a Class C misdemeanor is what she is. Oh, Class B, sorry, misdemeanor at this time is what they are taking her for. But obviously, it's the fact that it is a DWI that is going to be taken to be something that they are going to want to look at. They're going to sort of take a look at any of this here, but never had any offenses before, even though, like I said, I don't know whether or not they're going to actually get a copy and see the video and then, think that because of the language that she was using and some of the things that she was saying were inappropriate, might be something that they would consider would make her ineligible for her license. Or will she just get some type of incumbent on her license, which means that employers are just going to be made aware that she's had an offense and that they need to go through certain hoops to have her under their employment, which is kind of how that works. All right, so let's have a little look and see, because does she still have a license? And so let's take a quick little look at that. I did pull up at some point the part where you could actually take a look at the license lookups here. So let's share this tab instead real quick and then we'll get this video finished out. So this is her, Crystal Nicole Tadlock. This is public information. Anybody who's a registered nurse, you can find out whether they still have an active license. So let's take a look at that viewed report here. And currently, this is her license number. Her license is currently current. She doesn't have any encumberment. It's a multi-state license, which means she could work in anywhere where the licensure has compact, such as Virginia. I could work in Texas. And she just renewed this license back on the 15th of July, 2024. And it is set to expire on the 26th of July. So at the moment, her license looks very clean. She doesn't look like she has really any type of encumberment on her license. It doesn't look too bad for her at this time. But obviously, this is going to potentially change in the future. She does have to get this reported to the Board of Nursing. She does need to make sure that she is seeing an attorney, that she is following up with all these steps. Like I said, I'm sure any type of social media presence that she had is gone. It's been eliminated. And so I hope that she does get the assistance that she needs, because I think that somebody who has such vitriol for other people and such just disrespect, whether she had consumed something or not, I think that just shows a deep disregard for others. It's a tough watch as a registered nurse to see somebody show that type of sides. I know that they say that it could be the truth serum, it could be just bring out the worst in people, and it seems like this situation really did bring out the worst in this nurse. And like I said, though, despite everyone being really angry, it doesn't mean that she's going to lose her license, though. So it could be actually in the future that this registered nurse could be caring for your family members, but she is going to be looking at some pretty big hoops and definitely a lot of expenses. So if people see having to spend a lot of money as a sort of a consequence of her actions, then yeah, that's certainly going to happen. All right, guys, just make sure if you did like this type of content, make sure to drop a like, comments about what your thoughts on this story are, whether you think she should get her nursing license taken away, or whether you think that she should just get some rehabilitation, maybe some deep therapy, and everything's going to be okay. So just let me know. I'd be curious to know. And thank you so much for taking the time. And I was going to say, leave me a police car and let's show some love for our police officers, because they really do have a tough job. And so I did want to make sure that I thank them for the hard work that they do, because I know that we have to work as an interprofessional collaborative team, and to see a nurse, an RN, especially an RN who won a Daisy Award, treat another first responder like a police officer in that way is horrific. And I can't say anything but that. All right, guys, catch you on the next one. Bye.